Ready, set, adventure! Welcome to Hikanuki World Tour and our final day on the island of Crete. Today we'll enjoy more delicious food, pick up some more souvenirs in Hania, visit a seaside town, return to Heraklion for the night, and then take the ferry to Santorini the next morning. So come along as our adventures in Greece continue. Today we're spending the morning in Hania on the island of Crete. We'll be checking out of the hotel today and heading back over to Heraklion. We're starting the morning with the complimentary breakfast provided by our hotel, the Domus Renier. They have indoor tables, or we chose to sit outside in their courtyard. It was another beautiful day on the island of Crete, and we wanted to enjoy the weather. During our stay in Crete at the end of September, we found the weather to be absolutely perfect, in the mid-80s every day. We had the courtyard to ourselves, and the breakfast was exquisite. It started with fresh squeezed orange juice and fruit smoothies, as well as coffee and tea. And there were beautiful fresh-made pastries. The berry smoothie was divine. It was fresh and delicious, as were the pastries. They were served with homemade jams and Cretan thyme honey. This little gem added a savory element to all the sweets. In addition, we were each able to choose one main course. We chose the croque madame, which was a ham and cheese sandwich with egg on top and cooked perfectly. All of our breakfast items were artfully prepared and tasted just as good as they looked. We also had the banoffee pie pancakes. Banoffee pie is a British dessert made from bananas, whipped cream, and a thick caramel sauce. And this was served over 3 fluffy pancakes. This breakfast definitely ranked as one of the top meals we had on our trip. Once again, the food and hospitality of the Greek people is first rate. And after all that food, we decided we better walk around a little bit. We walked from the hotel courtyard back to some of the streets around Hania. For a more in-depth look at the hotel, Domus Renier, and a walk around the town of Hania, check out our other video, which I have linked below. We found Hania to be a beautiful, charming place and definitely recommend coming here. When we first arrived and were looking for the hotel, our GPS was bringing us this back way down all these steps and through these narrow streets. But now we know we should have come just right along the harbor front and would have gotten there in a flash. There are no cars allowed in the old city, so you will be on your own with your luggage. But having no cars around does make the city so much more enjoyable to explore. You could easily spend a few days here just exploring all the shops, restaurants, bars, and everything that Hania has to offer. The Venetian Harbor is also a beautiful spot to explore with all its restaurants and even more shops to look at. The weather in September was ideal. Although it was sunny and bright blue sky, the sun was not scorchingly hot. It was a great day for kayaking and walking the walls. And there was even some street entertainment to enjoy. It was a Saturday afternoon and there were plenty of people outside observing and shopping. We took one last look at the harbor and then headed back to the hotel where we had to pack up and move on. This boutique hotel is located above Zeppo's restaurant. It was an ideal location and we were glad that we found it. It is small and popular, so be sure to book early. Just a reminder to hit that like button and be sure to subscribe to Hikanuki World Tour. It really helps our channel grow. Thanks, we really do appreciate you. Driving in Hania is much more difficult than walking. The streets are narrow and very crowded. And parking on a Saturday is rather difficult to come by. We left the city and started on the 2-hour drive toward Heraklion. Our original plan was to spend the day at Elefanisi Beach, but since we were to spend the night in Heraklion that night, in order to be close to the ferry dock, we decided it would be just too much driving for one day. Instead, we decided to stop at one of the smaller seaside towns along the way. We stopped at Agia Pelagia. This town had a narrow, sandy beach with shallow water and plenty of beach bars and restaurants to visit. We stopped in at one of the beach bars and restaurants along the coast. Service was wonderful and scenery was spectacular. The 3 days that we had to explore Crete were definitely not enough to do it justice. There were so many places that we just wished that we had had more time to explore. All the beaches we visited were clean and calm and beautiful and so inviting. The people of Crete and the food we ate in Crete really blew us away, and we can't wait to come back someday in the future. The weather in September was glorious, and I didn't think the crowds were too bad either. And back at the bar, the bartender was serving up some shots. But not ouzo this time. This time it was tequila. I guess there's always a time and place for tequila. The outdoor spaces at the bar also looked very appealing. And across the way, there were plenty of places to watch your favorite football game. There were ample loungers and umbrellas to spend a comfortable day at the beach. We enjoyed our quick visit to the beach, but then it was time to head back to Heraklion. We were going to catch the ferry the next day to go to Santorini. Scenery on the drive back was stunning. We chose the same hotel that we had stayed in on our first night. The hotel was located conveniently a short walk from the main town and a quick cab ride over to the port. For a more in-depth look at the Megaron Hotel, I'll link our video of our first night's stay in the description box below. On this night, we were in room 311. It was an executive king room with urban view and was about 180 euros for a Saturday night. The rate also included a lovely buffet breakfast. The room was clean, comfortable, and spacious. The bed, linens, and pillows were also very comfortable. The hotel felt very luxurious, but for a reasonable price. It had mostly what you would expect, including a fridge, coffee maker, tea kettle, safe, plenty of room in the closet. There were more than enough hangers and a nice luggage rack for our suitcase. Service was very friendly, and there were a couple added touches that made it feel very homey. The bathroom was impeccably clean with plenty of space. Amenities with the local flair were provided. There was a shower over the bathtub, which was also clean and modern. The hotel is close to the port and to the airport, and just a short walk from the historic old town. We returned to town to try the bugatsa from Kirkor. Bugatsa is a Greek pastry made of phyllo dough and a sweet or savory filling. And this restaurant has been serving it since 1922, so you know it's got to be good. This location overlooks the famous Morosini fountain and is great for people watching and pet watching as well. We opted for the sweet cream-filled bogazza with Nutella topping. It was rich and delicious and very filling. Afterward, we had to do a little more walking and shopping before going to dinner. Heraklion was a very busy, lively city on a Saturday night. It offers a little of everything for tourists and locals alike. On our visit a couple days ago, we stopped at Kalamaki for a delicious souvlaki. It was definitely a 5 out of 5. There are some very interesting buildings in and around Heraklion. Let's take a walk around before the sun sets. The birds all descend upon that tree before sunset and make quite the noise. We headed to the restaurant we had chosen based on its outstanding reviews and hoped that we would be able to get in. It was a little off the beaten path, but certainly worth the effort to find it. While most everyone we encountered spoke English, you should probably brush up on your Greek letters because they do use them in a lot of signage. We arrived at about 7 p.m. and were able to get a table, although later in the evening, people were turned away. We sat outdoors and enjoyed another beautiful evening. The restaurant had a rather extensive menu. The ambiance was enjoyable and the staff were all attentive and helpful. We started with the local Cretan beer, opened by one of the friendly waitstaff. We opted for the hazy beer, which was light and well balanced. My husband took a trip back to the kitchen to see what was cooking. Literally.
So nice.
Kitchen staff was busy but took a moment to welcome him in. The interior spaces of the restaurant were also very cheerful and welcoming. Here are some of the delicious grilled meats. They look pretty tempting. We started our meal with a tomato bread topped with feta cheese. The tomatoes tasted garden fresh, and you can't go wrong with the feta cheese. And now on to the main course, served by our congenial waiter. I had the grilled souvlaki with potatoes. It was excellent and grilled perfectly. Portion size was perfect and with the emphasis on the grilled meat. And hot off the grill, my husband had the grilled lamb chops. And while the picture might not do them justice, these were the best lamb chops he'd ever had. They were juicy, tender, and flavorful. At the end of the meal, we were served complimentary fresh fruit and yogurt with the cherry topping. And no Greek meal would be complete without the complimentary ouzo shot at the end. We really had the best service as well as the best meal at this restaurant. We would definitely be in a hurry to come back. And just in case that wasn't enough, they served us homemade baklava. It was dripping with Cretan honey and sticky delicious. After that meal, we better walk it off a little before going to bed. We headed back to the fountain area, which was abuzz with activity. Only the birds were sleeping. headed back past the harbor to our hotel. We certainly enjoyed our separate 2-night stay at the Megaron and definitely recommend it to others. Location was great, all the staff were very hospitable, we enjoyed the breakfast, and although we didn't go in the pool, we enjoyed sitting up there at night. We were going to take the 8 a.m. ferry to Santorini the next morning. So we enjoyed the scenery for one last night before heading back to our room. We awoke early Sunday morning to head over to the ferry dock. While it was within walking distance, we took a cab because of our luggage. We arrived about 45 minutes prior to departure time and found that we were not alone. We purchased tickets online but had to exchange them for a voucher. There's really not a lot of information about the ferry. We basically just followed the crowd. The ferry was for both cars and people. It was very crowded and a bit chaotic. We weren't sure exactly where to put our luggage, so we asked someone who was a tour guide. Then the entire crowd was herded through 2 separate doors to go upstairs onto the ferry. We booked the platinum level service, which gave us a more comfortable seat in a less crowded area and was 125 euros per person. We used the Sea Jets ferry, and the ride between Heraklion and Santorini was about an hour and a half. Sometimes the ferries have the reputation for being late or delayed, but ours was right on time. We were shown to our comfortable leather seats. On our trip, they were actually filming a commercial, which was fun to watch. The ferry did have a snack bar, although it was quite crowded. You can bring your own snacks, which is probably a better option. We departed right on time and were heading to Santorini. We had beautiful views of Heraklion and Crete and the old Venetian harbor. In Santorini, we did make arrangements with our hotel for them to have a car waiting for us at the pier. As you can imagine, with all those people departing the ferry at the same time, it's a little busy, so it's wise to pre-arrange any transportation. Flying would have been about the same cost as the ferry, but we opted to try something new. Our time on the island of Crete went way too fast. We hope to come back someday in the future and know to devote much more time to see the island. There was an observation platform at the back of the ferry, but it did get very crowded. And back inside, filming the commercial was in full swing. Overall, our trip on the ferry was quite enjoyable, and now that we understand the procedures, I wouldn't hesitate to do it again. We hope you'll tune in to our next video when we explore the island of Santorini. Thanks for watching Hikanuki World Tour. Our travel wisdom for the day comes from the famous Greek writer Nikos Kazantzakis. He wrote, "Happy is the man, I thought, who before dying has the good fortune to sail the Aegean Sea." Make sure to subscribe to our channel and follow us on Instagram and hit that notification bell so you'll be alerted when new videos are dropped.